this one. This one I talked about yesterday briefly. And it's just a weird game entirely. You look at this thing and you think, this is mobile gacha slop. And you'd be right. Not anymore, though. This is a game that started as mobile gacha slop. And then I think they got dropped by their publisher or something. And decided to, like, retool the game into a single-player game. So I've always kind of wanted one of these games to actually be, like, not gacha bullshit. So I'm kind of curious about it.
I don't actually believe it, but it appears that Dragon Sword Awakening is in fact going ahead and will be releasing next month in July, as developers Hound 13 recently dropped a demo build of the game for players to play until the 24th of June. Now, for those of you who are unaware of this entire situation, let me just explain real quick. Now, at first glance, you would immediately assume that this is some type of Genshin Wuthering Waves online live.
Yeah, you got your character swap here. You would expect if you open a menu, you're going to see your tokens and other bullshit. Pretty sure you can find 100 more games named Dragon Sword. Dragon Sword's not exactly a uncommon name, yeah, sure.
Service Gacha Slop. You'd be about half correct with
This
that.
combat
thought.
immediately.
This game was initially supposed to release in January and is just yet another Genshin-like with the typical anime-styled visuals until an incident occurred that caused developers Hound 13 to pull away from the publisher Robertson and go off on their own merit and repurpose and release this game as a single-player action RPG. It's absolutely one of the more peculiar situations I've seen. I don't think I've ever seen a developer take what was supposed to be a live service title and repurpose it into a single-player game. The reason
there have been cases of games being remade, but it's usually post-launch. It's like, hey, we released the game, game's dead now, we're gonna make a new version of the game. It's not typically done before the launch actually happens.
Why this has happened is because there was a major drama that unfolded between Hound 13 and Robertson. There's a lot of stuff claimed on both sides, like Robertson mentioning that the developers were simply draining way too much money in order to make this game happen. But Hound 13 claims that there were large amounts of money that hadn't been paid even though it had been agreed to. There was also a lot of control put over the studio by Robertson. The devs actually feared that they were moving in a direction where the publisher was trying to actually absorb the entire studio and all assets and IPs that the studio owns, so that Robertson would basically claim 100% ownership, and apparently a ton of mistreatment from Robertson. This had apparently been unfolding for quite some time.
Yeah, that doesn't sound surprising to me, actually.
Until about
Mobile
January,
game publishers.
Hound 13 decided to pull away from Robertson, which is kind of crazy considering that the game was supposed to release in January. In fact, I believe that the live service MMO version of the game did end up releasing in January, but only in Korea. So there must be some type of an agreement here where the live service version of the game can exist from Robertson. But for the rest of the world here, we get the single-player version coming directly from Hound 13.
Honestly, that sounds
I'm
sick
flabbergasted over the fact that I'm seeing the game in motion and I've been able to play a few hours of it for myself is because there was mention that Robertson were trying to take legal action against Hound 13 to stop them from releasing this version of the game. When this news came out, and I talked about it in a previous video, I was incredibly doubtful that we'd ever see this end up being released, mainly because of the mass amounts of money and I guess traction behind Robertson.
Yeah, the fact that you can just like pull away from your publisher, like that's I want to know what like went on behind closed doors there. That's like usually if you're gonna have a publishing deal like that, they take some pretty serious control.
Compared to the small studio that had apparently been financially struggling. In a legal dispute like this, most of the time it's going to come down to how much money you have in your pocket, and looking at this situation, it's obvious that Robertson are the ones that are the breadwinners. However, it doesn't seem like anything is coming out of that legal dispute. Whether it was actually made by Robertson is unknown. However, it appears that Dragon Sword Awakening, the single-player version here, is going to end up releasing. And I have played it. I played a few hours. For anyone that is playing on Steam, you can try the game out for yourself to see what you think. It is a very, very bizarre concept because a lot of the live service MMO bones of this game are still very much apparent. Playing this, I feel like I am playing a Genshin-like, but it's a single-player game. It's sort of bizarre. At the same time, though, it's
I don't know of
unique
another game that's
because I'll admit it,
like
I
that
like
model.
the gameplay loop of these live service MMO action RPGs like Genshin.
Yeah, that's my problem. I look at these games, they have great combat, they look fun, and then it's like, hey, open up your wallet, spend infinite money, and then I immediately don't look at them ever again. So I've always wanted a game that actually uses this model, but doesn't try to suck me dry.
And Wuthering Waves, but ultimately the thing that turns me off about them is the game is actively and in some cases aggressively encouraging you to spend money along with the progression walling. So basically, Dragon Sword Awakening is taking all of the elements you come to expect from games like this, but it ditches the monetization and progression walling aspect that those games so infamously have. And the result here is the exact same type of formula you come to expect from games like Genshin, just without all of that dirty, stinky muck on top. This game's got multiple playable characters, and you can switch between 3 on the fly, configure your team setup. This was
Holy shit, this really is
between
this really is like the bones of an ex-gacha game, isn't it? If they have stars, does that mean there are lower tier versions? Or have they just left the stars in? Like, can you actually get access to lower star characters? Or do you only have your 5 stars? In which case, if you only get your 5 stars, why is there even a star system?
3 on the fly, configure your team setup. This was originally supposed to be a gacha aspect, and no one's surprised, where you would try pull for a certain character. Again,
that's
to
sick.
something like Wuthering Waves, Genshin Impact. And yep, just judging by the design of these characters, you can tell this was absolutely supposed to be yet another anime-styled live service gacha. The game is all real-time hack and slash stuff. Honestly, it feels pretty good. Initially, it started off feeling not that great, but as I kind of experimented around with some of the different characters and their abilities, I came to actually really enjoying it. There are aspects of this game's combat system that feel just a little stiff, but for the most part, it's pretty good. I also like the emphasis on the character switching. So, like, as you're attacking,
honestly, I just want to
enemies,
encourage
you're
more
pulling
games
off,
that are
your 2 different
single player of
special
this model
abilities that you can activate with either L1 and square or L1 and triangle. Your character's icons over on the left of the screen will proc to let you know that you can switch to that character to perform a special, I guess, spawn-in ability. Again, games like Wuthering Waves and Genshin Impact do have this, but I felt like the emphasis here in Dragon Sword was just a little bit stronger. The combat loop of switching between characters and seeing them pull off special moves is really satisfying. I also appreciate how
all these gacha games have Asian characters set in a European background. Yeah, because all of them are just also Breath of the Wild. You got to remember that. The model that Genshin set is Breath of the Wild. Breath of the Wild with gacha anime girls.
Although this game has an ability cooldown system, so, you know, just the typical stuff, that cooldown is reduced as you deal damage to enemies. The cliche with these MMO action RPGs is that they always focus on cooldown rotations between your multiple characters, so I like that there is just a slight difference here, how the cooldown reduces based on your performance of the character you're currently playing as. The combat system, though, is relatively basic, but it is fun. It's arcadey feeling. There are minimal inputs, just 2 abilities for each character, and then your basic attacks. There's no block system or perfect guarding or parrying or anything of the such, and I think the dodge system could feel a bit better to use. Character progression is the same typical stuff.
Holy gacha rework! Oh my god! This is so weird to look at, because I know how this game would have worked as a gacha game. So, like, my guess is these gold books here, you would have to likely pay for them. Oh my god, this is so fucking weird to see.
to expect here. Each character can be leveled up by simply just playing the game and engaging in combat, or you can use XP tomes to directly level
That's such a...
them up quicker. There's also equipment here with 5 different slots. There are things like set bonuses, randomized stats for each piece of equipment, and all of
And let me guess, you would have gotcha'd the equipment as well. And then you'd hate when you get equipment instead of a character.
this gear can be leveled up using materials that you find out in the open world. Every character has a small skill tree where each of their skills can be upgraded using a specific type of material. And there were 2 other progression systems known as Karma and Transcendence. One looks like it has something to do with a weapon, and I'm unsure about the other one, but both of these systems were not available to use in the demo.
Okay.
You've also got the typical overall account level system here too. This is known as the Mercenary level. This is basically the equivalent of Wuthering Waves Union level.
There are more currencies in a gacha game than a Forex trading account. Actually true, though.
Or Genshin Impact's Adventurer rank. And the way to increase this is by doing either main quests, side quests, or different activities out in the open world. And this system works the exact same way as you'd expect. There are certain things in the game, whether it's out in the open world and its content or progression for your characters, like skill leveling or character leveling, that become capped until your mercenary level has reached a certain point. So you can tell, right, that this game has the exact same philosophy as other
one for one
MMOs just like it. I mean, even looking at the heads-up display of this game, when you go into the menu, there's all of these multiple different menus, and you can tell it was set up in a way that it was originally supposed to be a live service game. Even when you're picking up materials out in the open world, you got the little like item pop-up, and just the way it's all
everything about
looks exactly the same as games like Genshin Impact or Wuthering Waves. The key difference with Dragon Sword, though, is to get materials, equipment, or brand new characters is awarded to the player by simply playing the game.
Yeah, what is the character unlock system like then?
No bullshit gacha rolls here. But most importantly, and bless this, there is no time gating on content. So
I'm not opposed to having gacha rolls in the game if you're going to gacha roll with in-game items. I don't think having a gacha roll system is inherently bad. I just don't want to pay money for it. If the system is built around like grinding out in-game materials, I think that's totally fine, right? Like that's absolutely... Oh, like you're pretty much just... effectively, what you're looking at then is like a random drop system from beating a boss. Like, and that's the issue comes when you're paying money for it.
Typically, these games are set up in a way where you'll grind a specific dungeon to get a certain type of material to kind of like push your progression further. But because these games are designed with repeat play in mind, they're always trying to give the player a reason to log in on a daily basis. This means that parts of the game's content has a limit to it. Typically, dungeons will have a 3 to 5 attempt limit. After that, you'll have to wait until the next day to repeat the content. This is the cliche method of progression or time gating that developers behind these live service games use in order to retain player attention. Personally, I hate this type of thing. So to have a gacha type game like this, just without all of the bullshit, is honestly incredible.
In many ways, it kind of reminds me of like how Grand Blue Fantasy Relink works, right? Like, Grand Blue Fantasy Relink is another game which should not fucking exist. By all accounts, that game should be, like, free-to-play mobile bullshit. But it's not. You just buy it, and you just play it.
Refreshing, because again, I like the gameplay loop of these games. And yes, this game is open world. The world itself is filled with different enemy camps, a ton of chests to find, along with different puzzle activities to engage in. Yeah, I mean, it's definitely another game that has taken the Breath of the Wild formula and then just like slapped an anime aesthetic on top. It's bright, it's vibrant, it's colorful. Honestly, as much as I am fatigued with this aesthetic and style of visuals in games like this,
I've played so few of them that for me this is a nice change.
But admit it does look good.
It is nice to have a pretty anime game that is not a gacha game.
Based on the demo build, I wouldn't say that the world content is as abundant as something like Wuthering Waves.
This really was a mobile game.
But the demo build only gives you a very small portion of this game's world, so kind of can't make a final judgment call just
Oh.
Yet, it appears that the world of Dragon Sword is fairly large, just judging by the map.
Oh, wow.
You can
Okay.
uncover different portions of the map by finding these windmills and activating them. You can also fast travel to different nodes on the map. These are generally either just warp points, the windmills, or different major pieces of content that you'll unlock throughout the game's open world. And yes, you're probably not surprised to hear this, but this game uses a stamina system as well. This is used for swimming, sprinting, and dodging. And you're probably
climbing.
expecting me to say, and climbing as well, like you can climb on any wall, any surface. No, you can't as your character, which is kind of interesting. You have
but it's
to
a
use your
mount.
familiar or
That's
a mount
cute.
in order to do that. In the demo, you get this beetle thing, kind of cool, I guess. There's a separate sub-menu in the main menu that
that's
is known
cute.
as
I like that
familiar, so
one.
it looks like you're going to be able to unlock all types of different mounts throughout the game.
Mm-hmm.
This is where your glide system comes into play along with your wall climbing system.
Mm-hmm.
There is a main story here. You're thrown into the game playing as a character known as Lute, who stumbles across two mercenaries and is basically forced into joining a mercenary group. It seems like this person is a visitor to whatever this land is called. The exposition of this game's story is very much Genshin Impact. Like the way that Genshin Impact starts is pretty much how Dragon Sword Awakening starts. The last system I should mention here is the cooking system.
Of course, yep,
there's
gotta
a
have one of
cooking
these.
System. The open world is rife with different ingredients, whether it is plants or animals that you can slay for meat, and there's different cooking stations that set up around the open world.
And let me guess, if in the gacha version of this, you could fail cooking and then you could pay to increase your cooking chances. I know how these games work.
Yeah, she's, she's definitely cooking.
She's cooking.
Oh, she's definitely cooking. Again, you've seen this before. It's taking the Breath of the Wild cooking system and just throwing it into the mix. So you can choose between boiling, frying, or slicing your food, and throwing in 3 different
Slicing is
ingredients
not cooking.
to change the result. You can also find ores and metals out in the open world, and you can break them by smashing them open. So it seems that there is also a crafting system in this game as well. But we didn't get to try that out in the demo. So to conclude,
would be another way to upgrade your
absolutely
gear.
nothing new or nothing different going on here with Dragon Sword. It's that exact same cliche action RPG gacha anime formula you've seen time and time again. Except that its biggest drawing factor here is that it's a single player game. And the reason why Hound 13 are making this version of the game is because they still want to release this under their name and also preserve all of the work that they've been working on for the past few years. It's actually kind of nice to see something like this because games like this...
This is definitely... the translation might be a little rough in places. Starving, lowercase ghost of corrosion. Uppercase, Furcus. They might need a... oh... Effete.
Whether it is...
Oh, no, that was scrolling. Okay, sorry. That's fine.
I've been working on for the past few years. It's actually
okay,
nice to
yeah.
see something like
It does say defeat, but no, this name here is
this,
scuffed.
because games like this, whether it is console, PC, or mobile, when they end service, they are effectively lost pieces of media.
True.
And all of that time, all of that money that you've sunk into this experience over the course of multiple years is gone forever. It would be great to see developers who are making these live service games creating an offline version that contains
Would be nice,
most
wouldn't it?
of the content of that experience just in an offline format. And technically, this is exactly what developer Hound 13 has done. I wanted to talk about this because it is definitely a peculiar situation, and I also feel like this is an action RPG that's absolutely going to go under the radar. At first glance, it just looks like more Gacha Slop, and that's fair enough because it honestly does. Well, I don't think that the game is amazing based on what I've played so far, and it's not really doing anything new. It is a fun little open world action RPG. Also, I know people are going to ask, so I may as well mention this. As of right now, this is a PC exclusive. There is no word as to whether or not it's coming.
I can tell from the UI that I can tell from everything about this UI that is not the way it was originally going to go. I can tell you for a fucking fact this was not going to be a PC only game. No world.
To different platforms like PlayStation or Xbox. I think it's going to be dependent on the sales of the PC version as to whether Hound 13 deem it to be viable porting this game onto consoles. So that's all on Dragon Sword. Just thought I'd throw this into your inbox. Thank you so much for tuning into today's video. Be sure to slippity slap that like button and subscribe to keep up with everything.
Honestly, I kind of want to support this game just solely based on the fact that this is like actually something that I've wanted for so long. Even if it's not like a perfect game, I would love more games like this to be made. Why does the demo have mixed ratings? What are people mixed about in the demo? Let's see. Gacha Slop combat? Yeah, well, that's expected. That's what the game is. Game still feels too much of a gacha, like gearing and even traverse maps occupied from Ho. Remove the stamina requirement sprinting, no enemies around. That's fine. That's a normal thing in so many fucking games. Those are very, very minor issues in my mind. I don't actually care about them. I'm not sure who or why, but someone who didn't understand what their franchise or their fanbase was started creating another one-to-one gacha. Genshin Impact was what the world needed. That's not the game is. So this person's confused about what the game is. I think it takes too much inspiration from Genshin. Making sure to do the character swap in combat. That honestly just seems fun to me. Forced blurry upscaling upscaling and motion blur. Okay, that's a reasonable complaint. However, I must say the game feels incomplete. Demo. Yes. Yes. Really? Really? The demo feels incomplete. Surely it's not true. Surely. I actually do want to check it out. I will have to do that.